the people you are dying to hear from. Let's bring them. Well, you've already heard from Callahan and Kyed. So let's bring up, ladies and gentlemen, from the Boston Herald, Doug Kyed and Andrew Callahan, everybody. Now you guys can do a Cory Booker and do a Foxboro filibuster as I find the email you sent me. Oh, here it is, right here. All right. Coming up next to the stage, ladies and gentlemen, more than 20 years in the business. He's covered more NFL, more Patriots, Bruins than almost anyone here in the room. He's a Silver Fox, invited to every supper club, and so GD handsome he can't even handle it himself. But this man once said of the Steph Gilmore signing in 2017, quote, "I don't get it. The Bills people didn't love him. His first month in New England stunk. What a mistake." Less than 2 years later, he was a Super Bowl champion. He won our hearts and was the DPOY. Now he loves Gilmore, but sources say he is firmly unrequited. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and the only from Boston Sports Journal, Mike Giardi. Callahan has receipts. All right, coming up next. He's an intrepid reporter who continues to break stories every year. He forms a journalism powerhouse with Karen Guregian and Chris Mason at Mass Live. He is a force of nature when it comes to churning out 7,000-word draft profiles a week before the effing draft. But this man once said of Mac Jones, quote, "Mac Jones can be a top 10 quarterback, the future of the Patriots and a franchise quarterback. Think Kirk Cousins plus." And unfortunately for him, since Brittany Griner got out of a Russian prison. That's my favorite line he wrote. This man has thrown his own teammates behind bars by tossing more interceptions than touchdowns. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Daniels from Mass Live. Coming up next, a former Patriots beat reporter who broke stories, dove deep into the film, and set the record for most dick jokes on Twitter. He is now a national writer for The Athletic, which is the sports arm for the New York Times. And he's a disappointed dad of 2 girls. In one of his final training camp recaps, he said, actually you wrote Josh instead of Jeff, so good job, not a lot of respect. He said of a certain Patriots pass rusher, he's explosive and fast, has the talent to one day sign a $100 million contract. And while Josh Uche has indeed signed multiple contracts since, those 2 contracts combined to be worth 4.92% of what he thought they would actually be, or the equivalent of a couple of hand-me-down Gucci bags. This guy's too handsome for his own good, and he showed up wearing the stuff that he would wear if he was invited to the Fanatics party. Ladies and gentlemen, Jeff Howe from The Athletic, everybody. And finally, he's a TV star, a radio star, a writing star. He is the world's foremost Deflategate historian. He boasts the best beard on the beat or beat adjacent. There is no album he will not review on his podcast, the Pats Chat podcast with Doug, of course, coming up to the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, he's literally never had a bad take. Plus, he gave Mike Felger shit one time on the radio, so he's my hero. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Hurley, everybody.
Before we get going, I'm going to drag things down a bit by thanking our sponsors, actually. So I want to thank Vitamin Sea for hosting, obviously. Thanks so much. Give it up for Vitamin Sea. And you can check out all of our sponsors on our table over here where you can get raffle prizes and all that stuff. But law offices of Deborah G. Cole, Starbuck Construction, the Rail Trail Flatbread Co., I can speak, As a Law, and special shout out to Jason Gillespie, raise your hand over there, from Lamacchia Realty. He sponsored the pizza for the guests. So if you're looking to sell a house, buy a house, find Jason. Thank you so much for
All right, I think we should just open with talk about the number 4 pick. What do we think?
Whoa.
Very good.
Thanks, Gerard.
Yeah. Gerard was invited, couldn't make it. Has a lot of time, still couldn't make it. Look, I think we should just go down the list who we think the Patriots will take and why.
who they should take or who they will take.
You can do both.
Well, if Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter are there, I think they should take one of those guys. But if they're not, it's not the popular opinion, but I think they should take Will Campbell. Everyone else is flawed. Jalen Walker's flawed.
up here, Giardi. If you want to move, you got to sit over here.
I got confused there for a second.
I'll have plenty for Giardi, it's okay. Armand Membou is flawed. Everyone's flawed. Ted McMillan's flawed. Ashton Genty's flawed. I know Callahan has a crush on him, but Tyler Warren's flawed as well. So, I don't know. Will Campbell, you need a left tackle. I know he's got short arms. He's got the little T-Rex arms, but just take a look at it.
Yeah.
This is going to be really boring because I agree with Doug. Here's the truth. Last year, the Patriots gave up 52 sacks. That was the 6th most in franchise history. It was the most since 1999. The last 3 years, they gave up, I think it was 42, 48, 52 sacks. It keeps getting worse. So to staunch the bleeding, you need a better left tackle than Vidarian Lowe or Caden Wallace. So for me, it's Will Campbell. I get that people like Mike Giardi hate Will Campbell. However, say this. Will Campbell played left tackle at LSU as a true freshman, a true sophomore, as a junior last year. He's really, really good against NFL prospects. And I think that's the tough thing about evaluating draft prospects is they're going up against college kids who aren't necessarily playing in the NFL. But Will Campbell went up against really good players in the SEC. So for me, it's Will Campbell protect Drake May at all costs.
Fun fact is as I talk into my own ear here, I've never seen a T-Rex miss a block. So that's a good quality to have. It's going to be Will Campbell. I feel very strongly. It's Cam Ward is going number 1, Travis Hunter's going 2, Abdul Carter's going 3. That has left the Patriots with Will Campbell. They feel very good about him. I feel very strongly that's who they're going to take. Ashton Genty is going to be the highest rated player on the board when they're up. But I love this running back draft. If you want to get a running back, you can get plenty of them the rest of the way. They love Campbell, and one way that it was described to me is this is going to be the first pick of the Mike Vrabel era. He's going to want to make sure it's a safe pick, a guy with a rock-solid attitude, absolutely no questions off the field. It's going to be Will Campbell.
This corner is brought to you by Armand Membou. But the answer to my own question in the first part is Will Campbell. I do believe that will be the pick. He was one of their first top 30 pre-draft visitors. Checks all of the play demeanor, fierce boxes, the safe pick, incredible athlete. If you're going to overcome short arms or other sort of deficiencies, you have to have that. Will Campbell does. I think Membou's a better player. Doesn't mean anyone else who disagrees is crazy. But Mike agrees with me, so that's why we're over here.
Yeah, I think Membou is a better player. And I do not hate Will Campbell. It's going to be awkward when they draft Will Campbell because that's exactly what's going to happen. I am not one who's going to bet on a historical outlier. They have not had there's not been an all-pro or a Pro Bowl caliber left tackle with the measurements that he has, the T-Rex arms and the wingspan that is incredibly short. There's a guy who, what's the North Carolina kid, the guard?
Peter Skronsky?
No. North Carolina. Lampkin, thank you. Who's 5'10", 270 pounds, and he has a longer wingspan than Will Campbell, who's 6'6" and 320. So I think Will Campbell is going to be a fine football player in the National Football League, but I don't think he's going to be a fine left tackle. I think he's going to be a fine left guard. And if you're picking at 4, you don't draft left guards.
All right, we'll go through one more time with quick draft crushes. Guys that we see, we talk about the number 4 pick. Everyone's been doing the same conversation since basically December, right? Who should they take at the top? Who's good enough? Mark dropped a huge draft guide. It's excellent. Read it over at Mass Live. Doug and I have been looking at prospects. Jeff, to some degree. Hurley, I don't know what you've been doing. But guys that you like in the draft otherwise, because we've also been talking about the potential for the Patriots to trade back into the first round. Minnesota at 24. You look at the modern trade value charts. The Patriots' 2nd round pick and 3rd round pick combined equals the value of the 24th overall pick. This could happen. So whether it's a late 1st round pick or a guy on day 2, who do you guys really, really like for this team?
My guy on day 2 was Jalen Royals, Utah State wide receiver. Missed like half the season, still put up 1,000 yards. Can't go wrong with that. So Jalen Royals, guy who can make some plays after the catch. If they don't draft a wide receiver, 1st round, 2nd round, maybe top of the 3rd round he'd go, maybe bottom of the 2nd, somewhere around there. So that's my guy.
I think the Patriots should find another running back in the mid-rounds. They say this draft is incredibly stocked with running backs. You can get someone in, say, 3rd, 4th round who could help you down the line. One guy to look out for is named Brashard Smith. He goes to SMU. He actually started his career at Miami as a receiver. So you think about Josh McDaniel's system, 3rd down back, right? James White type guy. So I see Brashard Smith, like, wow, you started as a receiver at Miami, you go to SMU. I like him. He could be a 3rd, 4th, 5th rounder, but he's the type of guy that I would earmark for the Patriots.
I love Henderson. I keep yelling in my ear. I love Henderson, the running back from Ohio State, and Skatibo. However, I will stop right there.
Travion Henderson?
Yeah.
I love him so much. I just want to hug him. He's so good.
Yeah.
Jeff, yes, make it happen. Wish it into existence, please.
You should have stopped me 15 seconds ago. Because on this exact state, I was right here last year, a week before the draft, and I said, Jalen Polk.
I remember.
Yeah.
And even more, and on top of it, I think it was either Doug or Mark that was like, "I'll tell you someone else I like, Javon Baker."
Yeah.
Guess what happened? 13 catches and 97 yards later, we have the worst wide receiver room. Their effing flag team that plays in Quincy could probably run better routes and catch more passes.
Look, I'll tell you, when I'm coaching Foxboro High and I'm Josh Uche, pass rusher, and Jalen Polk is my wide receiver, I'm going to win at least 4 games.
Jesus Christ, Howe.
So big fan of him. If I'm talking about later, I love Jalen Knoll. He's probably a second round pick when I say later. He's 5'11". He's a slot receiver. Pop's not here. Still is he? 195 pounds, so he's a little thicker than Pop. Great ability to be a run after the catch guy. The quarterback at Iowa State threw it about 110 miles an hour, so there wasn't a ton of that. It's more like just catch the ball and fall down. But he has that capability. He was awesome at the Senior Bowl. A lot of people love him.
All right, let's do a little like sneaky draft. You said no draft crushes on day 2 and day 3, but I can't help but have them as well. I've already revealed that I'm a Travion Henderson stan. I'll play a jukebox in his driveway to get him to come to the Patriots. He's dynamic, he's powerful, he averages 7 yards a carry. Didn't put the ball on the carpet at the Ohio State University, even though I am married into a Michigan family. No big deal, guys. You can read my Wikipedia page later. So, any like random draft crushes or like guys that are just like your guy that could come at any point in the draft? Let's just go right down the line.
Yeah, sure. I'll go another receiver. Torrey Horton, who's out of Colorado State. He's coming off a torn ACL. This kid is 6'3". He runs a 4.4. He's a long strider, return punts. Like you want a big guy who can separate and win on his own. Something I think at least I forgot what that looks like since I started covering the team. He's got the tools, and I think you get the knock of the injury. And he comes from a small school. Like there are tools there that you can't teach. That's what they need here in New England, where Stephon Diggs is going to play. I think he'll be great. But after him, who's next? I think you get a developmental guy, 3rd, 4th, maybe 5th round, Torrey Horton in Colorado State.
Stay with receivers. Jack Besh from TCU, who's, if you don't know the story, if you're not familiar with it, his brother went to Princeton. His brother was one of the people killed in New Orleans on the terrorist attacks. He then proceeded to go to the Senior Bowl after having a great year at TCU. And he had an awesome Senior Bowl, and he was the MVP. And it's just a fantastic story. The way he's carried himself through all this is someone that I think everyone in this room would feel pretty comfortable about rooting for.
He catches everything.
Yes, he does.
One quick note, our auctions are ending in like 5 minutes, so if you want to get any last bids in, scan the QR code, or go over there, do all that kind of stuff.
Items.
The items are Mike Vrabel signed football, David Pasternak jersey, we've got Red Sox tickets, we've got a golf foursome, we've still got some Demario Douglas autographed
Like
cards
play
over
golf
there.
or?
Yes, play golf.
Oh, okay.
Yes, sorry.
Foursome on the course.
Not
My
the kind
Sorry, kids. Just outside. Come on, just lightening the mood, Giardi. Jeez, no one's gonna fire. Bedard's not gonna fire you.
And last one is a Zoom discussion with Field Yates to play in your fantasy league. So great stuff there. My guy, Rutgers offensive tackle, Holland Pierce. Not an issue with wingspan or arm length or anything. I think he came to Rutgers at like 400 pounds, but he's like 6'8.5", 35-inch arms. He can move. He's probably a 4th or 5th round pick because you have to mold him a little bit. Make sure the weight stays where it is, around 360 right now. But if you're looking for that next Trent Brown, Holland Pierce is the guy.
Nice. So one thing I look at for the Patriots is building depth in the offensive line, and a player I really like, his name's Caleb Rogers, who went to Texas Tech. Caleb Rogers in college started at left guard, right tackle, left tackle, and he practiced at center. He's the most versatile offensive line prospect in the NFL, so he's my guy, Caleb Rogers.
I just got off a pro day tour, and I stopped at Alabama, and I heard some really cool stories about Tyler Booker, who's going to go in somewhere in the 20 to 40 range. So maybe not an opportunity for the Patriots to get him in the 2nd round. Maybe they have to move up. What I like about Booker, aside from the fact that he's a rock-solid prospect, in terms of character, so Alabama was getting ready for their bowl game. They just came off a tough season. Kalen DeBoer, first-year head coach. Obviously, Nick Saban had just left. Things were in a little bit of turmoil going into the offseason. They were afraid they were going to start losing some players to opt-outs, potentially to the transfer portal. Tyler Booker is one of those types of leaders who apparently can like connect to guys in any number of ways. So start of the bowl week, he steps up to the front of the room and says, if anybody in this room is considering opting out of this game or transferring, you need to come explain yourself to me. Alabama did not have a single opt-out for that game. Tyler Booker, the very first practice of bowl week, tore his pinky to the point where he still needs surgery, practiced the rest of the week, played every snap in the game to my understanding, and just went out and led by example. So if you need to build a new culture and you have a chance to get a guy like Tyler Booker, he's the one.
Tear your pinky, don't opt out, be a man. Way to go.
I've always
Callahan
wanted
gave
to
me
yield
that.
my time before, and one of us here wrote 7,000 words on the draft, so if you want a second one, Mark, you can have my time.
Where's Barth? No, honestly, Jeff has me convinced.
Yeah, Barth, you have Barth. This guy's an encyclopedia of draft people. Get up here, Barth. Listen, I work with the other station in town that nobody knows exists. I listen to your show on Sundays. I love you and Cerrone together. It's great.
Alex Barth from 985.
Draft crush?
Yeah,
When Andy lets me
later
talk.
round draft.
All right, so a lot of people have been talking offense up here. I'm going to give you a defensive player, Andrew Makuba from Texas. He's a safety. That might sound a little redundant, but he's a true free safety, right? Where like Kyle Duggar and Jabril Peppers playing the box. They've been missing a guy like that since Devin McCourty retired. They really haven't had one. They've been playing players out of position. If they draft a guy like Makuba in like the second or third round, he can go back there, he can be your center fielder, and he's a really good one. And it's also going to make Duggar and Peppers and other guys better because they'll get to play their natural positions.
Hold on. All right, so I did a podcast a week ago, sick brag, bro, and I had on the former, the 7-year head coach of Bridgewater State, and of course from WEI, John Lyons, the real John Lyons. And so I had him run through his 7-round mock, and guess who he had in the 3rd round?
Andrew Makuba.
Yeah, you're not going to believe this. It was Andrew Makuba.
Different station, same opinion, I guess.
Yeah, hey, 500 snaps in the deep part of the field, still 5 interceptions, 6 passes defense, transferred from Clemson to Texas, and led the 7th-ranked pass defense in the nation. So I like him. I agree.
How about that? We got 2 guys. We got our football nerds are even getting to know Makuba. And by the way, it means no worries for the rest of your days. That's our problem-free philosophy. Shut up, Nick. Okay, great job, Bart. Thank you very much. Bart, hey, everyone, John Lyons and Alex Bart. All right, let's get some questions, and because, love you guys, thank you for coming. All right, let's do some questions. Anyone has a question? Here we go. All right, come on up, my friend. If you have a question about music, the draft, the upcoming season, and whatnot, you can ask Hurley, Howe, Daniels, Kyed, this handsome son of a bitch, Giardi, and of course Callahan. Yes, sir. I know your name. Your name is Mike. But go ahead.
My name is Mike. I'm not going to give you my social. So, we all think, in some order, it's going to go Ward, Hunter, Carter. Assuming that happens, is there any possibility? Does anybody want to trade up to allow the Patriots to trade down? For Giardi, for anybody?
My guess is unfortunately no on this one, especially when the next quarterback is Shedeur Sanders, because I have even heard that some of the quarterback needy teams are not big fans of Shedeur Sanders, even picking a little bit below the Patriots. So that is not a great sign. Doesn't seem like a guy that people will trade up for there, and I don't think anyone's getting too excited about trading up for Giardi or any of those other guys. So I think chances are they're probably gonna have to stick at 4 and just take whoever is the best player available there.
Yeah, I heard there from sources that the Patriots didn't expect that people were going to trade up to number 4. They're not against it. Like, if someone wanted to offer them, they probably would. It's a good draft to trade down, but I don't expect it.
They don't anticipate a trade, but if Shedeur gets there and the Saints are desperate enough, I mean, the Saints have been all over every single quarterback in the class. So they're a possibility. I haven't found a team that has universally loved Shedeur, so I don't think it's going to happen.
I'd just say, someone asked me the other day, is the number 4 pick for sale? And I was like, yeah, and so is the house across the street from mine that's been $1.6 million for 6 months that no one's even nibbled on. So I'd imagine they'd be happy to trade that, but like these guys said, it doesn't seem like they'll be breaking the doors down to do it.
Okay, next question for this guy first, then you, my man.
Oh, no.
You guys know this guy.
It's not going to be that bad.
Does anyone follow Savage Sports? Any of you guys follow Savage Sports? This guy. He's a good. No, we love you.
It's not that bad.
No, it's not that bad.
Great job. I promise. So if hypothetically Shedeur doesn't go 3, and then nobody's trading up because that's not going to happen because nobody gives a crap and wants to trade up to 4. Would you rather go for Will Campbell with his risk of becoming a guard, because that's of course a risk, or would you rather go Membou with the opportunity to move him to left tackle with a higher ceiling?
We'll start in the Membou corner.
Real question.
I'm with Membou. I just think he's a better player, and I think he's got the flexibility. And a guy who's obviously not played a whole lot of football, but has ascended very quickly. I think that lack of experience allows him to go back and maybe play a little bit of left tackle. Now, I would still want to double dip, maybe not later in the first round, but somewhere later in the draft to have a couple of young guys. Because look, it's not only just a top-end starter issue, right? It's a depth issue. They lose a left tackle. Here comes Vitamin Low again. Ideally, you don't want to do that. I would go with Membou over Campbell. But look, it's not a bad pick if it's Campbell. Those are the 2 you're picking. They're both top 10 players, and they deserve to be there.
You said Vitamin Low, and I started to sweat again.
I can't do it again, Mike. I can't do it again.
He's such a nice guy too. He's a really good kid. Very honest when you talk to him. So for me, Membou is the better player than Campbell, but I'm fine with him staying on the right side. And I know they just signed Morgan Moses. You're saying, what are you doing? What would you? Nowadays, you need good tackles on both sides because there are good pass rushers on both sides. So I know that the left tackle is the gaping hole, and you've signed Moses to be the stopgap, but he also has broken down the last couple of years. So I'm not opposed to getting a guy who ends up staying at right tackle.
Sounds like Giardi wants to actually see Vitamin Low back at left tackle next season. So I don't know if you guys remember this, but last year the Patriots signed Chukwuekorfor and thought, he played right tackle for a while. Maybe we can flip him over to the left side.
Yep.
Patriots drafted Caden Wallace, played right tackle at Penn State. Maybe he could flip over to left tackle. We saw Vitamin Low and Demontre Jacobs play left tackle last season. So the risk of drafting Membou is that he can't flip over to the left side, and then you're back starting Vitamin Low and Demontre Jacobs again, which is why I would go for Will Campbell over Membou.
I'll say this about Armand Membou. He played guard in high school. He was recruited to Missouri as a guard and then played only right tackle the last 2 years. So all this talk about Will Campbell might be moving to guard. Will Campbell has been a tackle his entire life. He started at right tackle as a freshman in high school, moved to left tackle as a sophomore, and he's been a left tackle the entire time. So I feel way more comfortable with Will Campbell.
Is there a risk in him moving to guard? Of course, but you're not going to get a bad football player out of it. If Will Campbell is going to be a 10-year solid pro, whatever the position is, Membou potentially, he has a higher ceiling, but you're going to have to wait for that ceiling. And there's a potential that the mid-range of that trajectory doesn't get reached. There are questions about the personality. Is he driven to be the best player that he can possibly be? There are absolutely no questions about Will Campbell. So yes, you could take Will Campbell at 4. You could let Membou slide to, let's say, 12, and look at Tayler at 18 or what have you. And then 5-10 years from now, you could say, oh my goodness, maybe I should have taken him. But those guys are more lottery tickets, whereas Will Campbell's the sure thing.
I have a question for Membou corner. You watched last year, right? Doug covered it pretty well. You guys are you nuts? That's the question? Yes. Yes. They said
no
yes,
more right tackles that should play left tackle.
Yeah.
No more,
the flip is a little concerning. But I would say this: Doug and I the other day, impromptu, just kind of looked up the last 25 number 4 overall picks, and maybe half of them were hits. So I think the mindset has changed for me, where it's like Jeff was just saying, if Will Campbell's a hit, even at guard, which is nowhere near a premium position, it's still better than half of the number 4 picks this century. So I think it's something with the mindset where you hear the number 4 pick, you're like, they're going to get a franchise-altering player. Not necessarily. So as if you can adjust the mindset, it's not as bad as maybe some of us made it seem.
2 things on that, Mike. 1, I'm with you. I'm in the find a way to see if you can pry Colton Miller fan club out of the Vegas Raiders. Contractually obligated. Because if you do that, then you have a starting left tackle. You pay him 4 years, $100 million. Then you can choose chaos, draft Ashton Genty, and just watch shit fly everywhere, and it's going to be a good time. No more right tackles playing left tackle. My friend Megan Ottolini at WEI did a great deep dive recently. The last really good Patriots offensive line draft pick was 10 years ago. Joe Thuney. Since then, we always joke about how bad they are picking wide receivers, buddy. And they are. They're terrible.
But they're also not good at drafting and developing offensive linemen as well. So
Drafting in general.
Or just drafting in general. Fuck it. Why do we even pick anybody? Let's just see our picks and just get out there, right? So that being said, like, whether you go genty and you say, like, I'm going to choose somebody who wrote a 1,200-word essay yesterday saying, like, I'll be Saquon and I'll fight everybody. That was awesome. Or you try to go safe pick with, like, a Will Campbell or something else, or Membou. That's fine.
He wants to answer when I called him nuts.
Yeah. No, Membou Corner's got it.
A rebuttal from Membou Corner and then another question. Yep.
A couple things on Membou. When you look at the overlap of 4 games that his team, Missouri, played, and LSU also played, Alabama, A&M, South Carolina, Arkansas, Armand Membou allowed half of the pressures that Will Campbell did against the same defensive line, which is stocked with first-round picks, Texas A&M, Bama, all the guys that you'll be seeing in the first round. When you look at guys who typically don't transition from right tackle to left tackle, left tackle to right tackle, it's typically an athleticism thing. Matt Light, great left tackle, not the most fleet of foot, couldn't make it over at right tackle. 10 years later, Nate Solder, this incredible athlete, used to play tight end at Colorado. Starts at right tackle, the next year they put him at left when Matt Light retires. Boom, he can make it work. I'm not guaranteeing that Armand Membou can make that transition, but I feel much more confident, especially considering, okay, Will Campbell moves to left guard. I think between Layden Robinson, Cole Strange, maybe the ghost of City So, who just like disappeared last year, can make it work at left guard, and that's a much easier position to fill. Again, with the idea of you better double dip, because it's not just a starting issue, it's a depth issue with tackle for the Patriots. None of us up here, or anyone, want to watch last year again. I think Membou not only has a higher ceiling, but is a better player and prospect.
Michael.
I don't really have much more to say to that, other than, you mentioned that Membou played guard in high school and was recruited as a guard, and Will Campbell has never played guard, but you're okay with Will Campbell slotting into guard that he's never done it before. I'm just saying.
He's my left tackle, Mike.
Well, he might be a very poor left tackle with short arms. That's all. That's all I'm saying.
You take Ted McMillan and I get the N'Keal Harry shakes. You take Will Campbell and I get the Isaiah Wins. So that's what happens. All right, hey, this guy one more time. Evan, right?
Okay, here we go.
Would you rather,
Oh, it's a would you rather, guys, get ready. This kid's good.
Is my wife here?
You want this job next year? Fight me for it, bro.
would you rather the Patriots to get Will Campbell or Mason Graham?
Did your dad give you that question? Is that yours? Love this kid. All right, Will Campbell or Mason Graham, the best offensive tackle or the best defensive tackle in the
I'll
draft?
make it quick. I will go Campbell again. I think Graham could be a very good player, but also a little bit undersized.
Mason Graham's going to be a good player, but 2 of the highest paid players on the roster are Milton Williams and Christian Barmore. So for that reason, I'm skipping the defensive tackle and going to the tackle.
Yeah, great question, but I'll echo what Mark said.
Yeah, and to reiterate the point of it all, which David Andrews said when he was up here, is like Drake May smells like money. Like protecting him, they've spent enough money on defense so far. It's time to go on the other side of the ball.
Membou Corner.
Give me Mason Graham.
There we go.
He's talking about Christian Barmore, and I'm not to be disrespectful at all. We have no idea. I know he's working out. This is great. There's a recurrence of the blood clots last year when he came back. So he may be paid as much as anybody on the roster, but you can't definitively tell me that he is going to play, that this isn't going to recur again. And I'd like some insurance. And I'd like that insurance not to be Daniel Akawali, who I think signed with Pittsburgh.
Well, he already went to Pittsburgh,
I know, but my point being, I'd like a higher end possibility there. Mason Graham is certainly that.
Multiple awards and is largely considered the best defensive line. And he also played in the Big Ten and was a badass in the process as well. So.
Watch the Ohio State game. He just ruined Ohio State.
Exactly, which we love.
Doug, slide down. Slide down.
Oh, you're leaving me?
Yeah, sorry. Will Campbell, between the two of them.
Oh.
You need a left tackle. I just assume in this scenario, Armand Membou and his agent have thrown a fit, saying, I will not go to New England. I will not. If we were truly down to Will Campbell and Mason Graham, dad or son, whoever actually asked that, taking Will Campbell, and I'm just crossing my little T-Rex fingers in it.
All right, our last question of the night as we look forward to wrapping up the draft party, and our esteemed draft panel here comes from our friend David. Cool. Adam, nailed it. Adam, he's that. Oh my God, what happened to your dad? I'm so sorry.
My actual dad's name is David.
Your dad's name was David. Okay, cool. All right, step up, buddy.
Hey guys, first time, long time. In defense of Will Campbell, if you can't tell by my hooting and hollering over there, I'm a big Will Campbell guy. You guys have done a great job kind of laying out the points. He's played the position his whole life. He's played SEC, which is, blink and in 5 years, all the defensive ends in the NFL are going to be SEC guys. So my actual question is about Jalen Walker. He's kind of a tweener in my opinion. He's too light to play end and too heavy to play like off the line, which Mike Vrabel seems to want fast, light guys. I missed Juwan Bentley already, but I kind of just want to know, like I've heard the leadership is out of this world, which is great. But other than him being a defensive chess piece, like I just think back to guys like Isaiah Simmons and all these other guys who can play anywhere. It scares me a little bit. I'm sorry.
How dare you compare him to Isaiah Simmons? No, it's a fair point, right? But I like the idea, you say chess piece, I like the idea that you have a coach in Vrabel who understands, because he was one of those guys that got moved around. You saw Mike Vrabel at times line up at nose. You saw him dancing over the guard center gap. You saw him on the edge. You saw him 25 yards in coverage. If anybody would have an idea how to utilize a weapon like this, who's a very incredibly high quality athlete, I think people.
Yeah, I'll be quick on this. Mike has pulled me a little bit over to Jalen Walker way. That's approved?
Yeah, that works.
Okay, very good. He was a little bit heavier at his pro day than his combine, and when you look at a guy like Harold Landry, right, who started for Mike in years in Tennessee, he's 252. So if Jalen Walker has like a couple of Big Macs and gets to 246, like I'm not going to be too upset. I'll say this too, the Isaiah Simmons comp, that's a player that I always describe as better in theory than in practice. Because he could do this if we move him here. I've seen Jalen Walker play off-ball linebacker at Georgia and thrive. I've seen him play on the edge at Georgia and thrive. And his efficiency as a pass rusher on a per-snap basis is very, very high. So personally, I'd be comfortable putting him at edge full-time, third down. Maybe that's when you move him around, because I don't want him in a full-time roll-off ball. He's an excellent player, and I think being in a pro system and performing at that level, plus the leadership, would be a fine plan B for them at 4, or if they trade back.
Yeah, I don't hate Walker, but he's an undersized guy, just like Will Campbell is. He's 6'1", 246. You don't necessarily want him playing on the edge. Like Vrabel could do it, but Vrabel was 6'4", 260, something like that. So it's a much different body type. Jalen Walker does have, I think, 32-inch arms, so not very long for an edge player. I think he can be good, but it's just there's just as many concerns with him to me as there are about Will Campbell size-wise. So I'd probably rather take the guy that you need more.
Yeah, if it's not Will Campbell, I could sign off on Jalen Walker. But you're right, he is a tweener. Historically in the Vrabel defense, he likes his inside linebackers around 230 pounds and his outside linebackers around 250, and Jalen Walker's right there in the middle. Great character, though. He's probably going to be a good player.
I was talking to somebody today about Walker, and they said, you always read and hear all of these amazing things about him, and then you turn on the film and you wonder where they are. So I wouldn't take that at 4, but if they are able to trade down because somebody wants Shador, and you're still in the top 10 and he's there and he's your best option, I think Giardi's point is great. Vrabel would know how to use him, or at least know how to motivate him to get the best out of him. Undeniable talent, there's no question about that. Everybody wants more out of him, so I don't think you would touch that as a top 5 pick.
I just asked you because I'm going last, so I don't have a point to make on top of that. When you say you're excited for Will Campbell, what gets you the most jacked up? Is it like the squat video? Is it the film?
He does squat 605.
He squats!
It's the number 7 on his jersey.
Okay.
LSU.
Right.
That's a huge number at LSU.
He's the guy.
Wearing 7
Don't overthink it.
I just like it because we've been a little bit sort of not down on it, but not excited on it. So we need a little enthusiasm. So thank you.
All right, so finally they're going to go at 4. Will Campbell. Will Campbell. Will Campbell. Will Campbell. Will
Shador Sanders.
Shador Sanders. Absolutely. Love it. All right. Folks, this right here from the Boston Sports Journal. He used to work for the NFL Network, the handsomest man in all of Boston sports coverage. At Mike Giardi. Give him a follow. At Mike Giardi. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, everybody, for coming out. Awesome event. Thank you for supporting Doug and his family.
And this right here, my co-organizer for the evening as well, at _Andrew Callahan. You read him in the Boston Herald, the Pats Interference Podcast, my buddy, and also a huge craft beer fan, Andrew Callahan. Thank you. I gave you a chance to say something? Nothing else? You've talked to him. And of course, Doug Kyed, everybody. At Doug Kyed from the Boston Herald, the Pats Chat Podcast, which he co-hosts with Mike Hurley.
This is Mark Daniels right here by Mark Daniels, correct?
Fair. Yeah, there's a lot of Mark Daniels out there. It's hard to get just Mark Daniels in anything.
Let's go find some of those other Mark Daniels and earmuffs, guys. 3, 2, 1, F them up. Let's go get them. You did amazing work. His 7,000-word draft opus, which is just a little bit shorter than On the Road, was published today at masslive.com. I highly recommend you guys read it as well. Jeff Howe, everybody. Jeff Howe, come on, make some love for Jeff Howe. Handsomest guy here tonight. Sartorial excellence. Any final words, sir?
I got nothing.
You got nothing?
No. Congrats to Doug and Jen on an amazing night.
And also, I think we can all agree. Fuck you.
I'll stop right there. There are kids still here.
I know. But at the same time, cancer's the pits, and that's why we're here tonight, so that hopefully no one ever has to deal with it again, or if they do, these heroes will step up, and some of the other heroes that they've been in touch with and associated with will do amazing work. And finally, speaking of heroes, they don't often dress like they have been following Pearl Jam around for 30 years. Michael Hurley, everybody.
I got off easy. I was the only one that didn't get roasted, so I'll throw myself on there. Doug knows this. I somehow got myself into having the Patriots winning 10 games last year. I don't know how it happened. It was an accident, but I rode it through for a while, so we all make mistakes.
And because you and Doug do such an awesome job on the Pat Chat podcast, and there are such great musical digressions, if you could make the 2025 New England Patriots an album, they would be?
It's got to be a comeback album, so maybe like the Eagles, Hell Freezes Over, you know? It's been decades. Here you go, we're back.
There we go, all right. And ladies and gentlemen, the Draft Party 2025 draws to a close. Doug Kyed with his final remarks.
Jen, you want to come up here? Okay. Well, this is my lovely wife, Jen. But, we've lost our 7-year-old. I don't know where Olivia is, but she's somewhere. But Jen texted me the auction and raffle winners. So I don't know if everyone is here, but for the Mike Vrabel signed football, Benjamin Kyed won that. For the field, is he here? No? Okay.
I'm Benjamin.
There was a serious bidding war for that, so he really wanted that football. For the Field Yates Zoom, Scott Savage Kaplan. Is that Savage?
You're gonna post the Zoom. All 30 minutes.
Yeah, all 30 minutes of the
Post
Zoom.
it.
High res, yes. He's a good dude. That's gonna be fun. Thank you, Savage.
For the David Pasternak jersey, we've got Brendan Carter. Is he here?
Yeah.
All right. Congratulations. And for the raffle winners, for the golf foursome,
yes,
we've got Stephen Doherty. That's also. Congratulations. Sounds like Fitzy wants to go on that with you.
I'm ready.
And for the Red Sox tickets, we've got Mark Sowlich. Is he here? All right, there we go. You got one pair of tickets. All right, we'll work that out. All right.
So, Mark, you won the Red Sox tickets. Keith wins the Patriots tickets. You got the golf outing, Savage. You got the field Zoom. And everybody leaves here a winner tonight. Thank you guys so much once again for coming. You supported an amazing cause. Love this family, love these guys. I love you just like we love our team. Good night, God bless. Continue to do good things, hug your kids, and we'll see you soon. And above all, thank you, Vitamin C, and let's go Pats.